What is going on, guys? Want to welcome everybody to the Wednesday night live stream. Today, upon special request, we're gonna talk about some Chaeto reactors. So I've been running one for a while. Oh, and I see we got Seymour in the chat. I cannot hear you, Seymour. Not sure if you muted or not. I know sometimes you have to rejoin. So, quick welcome. We got a ton of people in the chat already. So hey, Bubba, Dan's Reef, if you're still on, Dave's Nanotank, Lundy Boy 8. Welcome, guys. Christopher Williams, you've been in there for a while. How's it going, Chris? Reefer Jones, 78. Phantom Reef 16. Hey, guys. Jay Carey, welcome. Aussie Dan, welcome to the room. Asa, hey, Asa. So hopefully everyone's having an excellent Wednesday afternoon. Bling bling. Jamie's Reef Tank. Woody's Reef. What's going on, guys? Seymour, you're still muted. Joshua Benson. Hello.
Yeah, I know I'm still muted.
I was just checking because I know sometimes you're. Dave's Nanotank. Yes, you are here. Welcome, Dave. So Arc Royal, welcome. So I had a kind of a special request to do a stream on Chaeto reactors, and now I've been running one for a few months now. My main reason is hey, Big Dan's live music. Eric B. My main reason for going to a Chaeto reactor was for space savings because I had, a decent sized fuge section, and I wanted to free up that section to use for other purposes. So that was kind of the main reason I decided to go to Chaeto reactor. Now, so far, I like the fact that it's a nice, efficient way to contain that mess, contain that algae. Everything's in like one nice cylinder. So that part's been a huge benefit to me. I mean, there's a few downsides, but overall, I think they're an awesome way to go. Exclusive Blade 400 Flyer, Eric B. Welcome, guys. So I've been digging my Chaeto reactor for a few months now. It's going pretty good. One thing that I would want to dig into a bit later is a lot of people tend to have great growth, and then it slows down a bit. So that's one point I think we'll touch on in a little bit. And that has to do with the kind of nutrients and what's all in your water. Now, aside from that, a couple just general potential downfalls or negatives of it is it's not quite as good for pods. I do have a Mandarin. He's very happy. He does a great job in my tank. But having just that big ball of Chaeto in a sump, it's more of a nicer atmosphere place for your pods to live in rather than the chamber of water is constantly rushing through it. So I don't see quite as many pods in my Chaeto as I used to. That being said, in my frag rack area, I have tons of marine pure balls, some rock rebel, and I see tons down there. So they're still in there, but just something to keep in mind if you don't have any other form of refugium, like cryptic refugium or whatever you want to call it, without a macroalgae. Something you got to take on the side and kind of consider. But overall, it's been doing a great job in my tank. Ken Word, welcome. Exclusive Reef, welcome, guys. Low iron will slow growth. I 100% agree with you on that one. I know the Pax Bellum is one of the popular ones, and they sell a supplement to go with their Chaeto reactors. And I believe it is nitrogen or something along those lines. And I believe it was Chris or someone earlier was saying it's iron, magnesium, and molybdenum, if I'm saying that correctly.
Molybdenum.
Thank you, molybdenum. So.
Yes. You actually get it when you purchase a Pax Bellum.
Mm-hmm.
You get a vial of nitrate, molybdenum, iron, and manganese.
Now, you have an actual Pax Bellum, correct? So that's how you...
Yes.
Okay. Now, you also had a DIY one on your nanotank, I believe.
Yes. I've been doing different variations of Chaeto reactors now for about a year. We're in November, so exactly 1 year.
Yep. And how, so far, have you noticed a big difference between your, commercial Pax Bellum versus your DIY one on the smaller tank?
I say the Pax Bellum gets, more growth, but that's probably because of the spectrum of light it comes with.
Yep.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure if we can probably find, the proper spectrum DIY lights, I'm pretty sure we'd be able to match the Pax Bellum's growth. I personally went with the Pax Bellum versus the DIY because it's going to be somewhere in my sump where it's going to get splashed or get submerged at times. and I needed something that was made to be submerged. I didn't trust to use it. I bought some lights that said waterproof, but when I was on the stream, you, Dave,
Yes.
Asa, and a couple other people said even though those lights say submerged,
Hmm.
they're not really meant to be submerged all the time. And when I did a little bit more research and read, it did say it said waterproof, but not meant to be submerged, all the time, especially in salt water.
Yeah.
So that's when I kind of went the commercial route.
Okay. I would say it's more water resistant than I call it waterproof, but that's partially the reason I put mine horizontally is because I didn't really trust it being submerged. Like I just envisioned it'll shorten out in no time.
Yeah, I've made one from Marine Depot is the first sort of video. There may be others, but the first one I see that gave complete instructions for DIY,
Hmm.
and I followed their instructions 100%. Bought the Aquamax reactor, bought the lights from them, put it together. It was the only filtration on a nano tank. In
Hmm.
fact, my current 14-gallon nano is running Triton, and no water changes now for going on 4 months, and a two little fishies reactor with the lights from Marine Depot. That's pretty much the only filtration that's on that tank,
Hmm.
along with some floss that gets changed once a month. But it's going well.
Excellent. Now, so okay, what spectrum is the one on the packs? Is it more of a warm white or cool white?
The one from Marine Depot.
Yeah. Or that one and the packs, like are they similar spectrums or are they different?
You know what? I don't know the spectrum. The one from Marine Depot is warm white. I know it's warm white. Whatever spectrum warm white is, it's warm white. The Pax Bellum has two different whites,
Hmm.
but it also has the red.
Okay.
And I think from watching a lot of BRS's videos, they say that that red spike
Hmm.
is pretty important to algae. That's something their series on Refugium lights that they've done. I think that red spike is something that they say is important.
Hmm.
So
Well, if you look at the Kessels, like the H360, 380, whatever it is, like that has more of the purpley, right? So it's more of a blue and red blend. And I know that it also has different settings for if you want like flowering mode or if you want the growth mode, I guess. So I know
yes,
different spectrums will kind of
yes,
not what's the right word for it?
yeah. Kessel
Promote
has
certain stages of growth in their Chaeto.
Kessel has growth mode, which is what I use it because that's what BRS did,
Hmm.
and they also have bloom mode, which
Yep.
is more red. So they have blue, grow, which is purple,
Hmm.
and then bloom, which is more red, and then they have total red, 100% red.
Hmm.
But I use the grow mode, which is more purple.
Okay.
For both the H80 and the H380. So I use the grow mode.
Now, did you notice the difference between running the different modes, or did you try running both? Is another question.
I I I don't know. I
Hmm.
know these UFO grow lights that are on eBay. I've
Hmm.
used one. Dave's Nano Tank has used one. I know Rico's Reef Tank has used one.
Yep.
There's a couple people here that have used them. That to me looks more. I looked at pictures.
Hmm.
It could be that the white balance or whatever is different, but that looks to be more on the bloom mode.
Hmm.
Bloom, it's more reddish instead of purple. It's kind of purple, but it's more reddish. And that grew Chaeto. That's the best light I had in terms of growing Chaeto. It could also be that it's 190 watts, but it grew Chaeto pretty well. That's in terms of straight up power, performance, and
Hmm.
growing light aggressively. That UFO grow light, but it was also 190 watts and it was loud.
Yes, yes, that one was. So Mark was saying in the comments he has the ALG1 shader reactor. It has red and blue LEDs plus warm white.
I
And
don't know what
that
there is.
one, I'm just gonna pull up a quick picture on here because I just had someone send me a couple. So if you guys can see behind me, I'm just gonna
Oh,
shrink it.
Dave is correcting me and said it's 150 watts, not 190.
Okay.
So 150
Yeah.
watts.
Okay. Yeah, you can kind of see through that ALG one that Mark has in the background. It's got kind of the white and red and probably a bit of blue in there. Would look similar to like the Pax Bellum style in a way.
Asking
ALR1.
off.
I believe
Oh,
I believe that's a UK brand, that one.
yeah. The coolest one I've seen, commercial one, is Ultra Reef. Reef has this cool reactor really comes up from the bottom and
Mm-hmm.
overflows over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And they just sell Ultra Reef reactor.
Mm-hmm.
They sell like the lights that you can stick in the middle. So basically, it's a modular
Ah,
design,
nice.
and then the lights are in the middle. You can pull it out. Let me just answer fish friends.
Yeah.
So I have basically two refugiums. I have the Chaeto reactor, which I empty. But the Triton method kind of says that you need to make your algae die off. So I have a 2-gallon refugium that I don't touch. That I let that grow a little. I rarely empty that. But then the Pax Bellum, I empty it every 2 weeks. And I get about a quarter pound of dry. My chop. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna change computers in a second, but I get about a quarter pound of dry every 2 weeks.
Okay. Yes, you're a little bit choppy there, Seymour.
All right, so I'm gonna log off and log back on. Let me just change computers or get a different headset.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could barely hear him. It was like constantly in and out.
Yeah, it was very choppy for me too.
All right,
Hopefully.
I'll get it. I'll be right back.
Okay, sounds good. Um, yeah, so on mine, it kind of varies a bit, to be honest, on how much I change it or empty it, I guess, rather. Like it could be, sometimes it'll be after 2 weeks I'll empty, other times I'll leave it for like a month and a half. I mean, mainly just because if it's not packed, I'm not too worried about it. Or if it does, it'll just grow a little tighter. One of the things I did notice though is, at first it grew like crazy and then recently it has slowed down. Now I know a lot of people, you'll see if they do a water change or they do something else that changes in their water, they'll get more growth again. And I think someone mentioned earlier that Aquavita fuel, they started dosing that and it increased their Chaeto again. So, and I think a lot of that comes down to how much nutrients you have for your Chaeto to grow. When most people initially add them to your tank, you'll get tons of great growth until it will almost seem like the growth is stunted, and that's because it's either whether it's the nitrogen or the iron, whatever that nutrient is, that's been used up, so it's kind of inhibiting it from growing like crazy like it did at first. And that's the thing that I've seen tons of videos and things pop up on, so I was kind of want to throw one out there. Amphibian Reefer, Fish Frenzy, welcome guys.
Yeah, it's funny. Marine Depot now has their own little Chaeto reactors you can buy. It's like a little kit. It's the one like you built yourself. It's $170. It's Aquamax reactor chamber, and then the little LED strip that you zip tie around it, and that's it. It will a pump. It's like $170. I'm like, I can go on eBay or something, find that reactor for a lot cheaper, get a pump for a few bucks, and go on Amazon and find that LED a lot cheaper.
Yep. I know. Yeah, with the Amazon lights, I would not trust those submerged, as someone was bringing up earlier. They are, quote unquote waterproof, but I would not trust them. That's the main reason mine's sideways is because I didn't trust those being submerged. But yeah, so,
I wouldn't submerge it either, honestly.
If you have the room outside, I mean, perfect. That's a great way to do it. Are you supposed to cut out, or are you supposed to let your Chaeto do its thing? Once it starts dying, it keeps the nitrate stable. Okay, so there's kind of a mixed opinions on that. Some people say it actually is good to leave some Chaeto dying off in your tank because that die-off will release amino acids back into the water. So if it gets too big, personally, I mean, I'll trim some out down to like a quarter the size so it's not overtaking the whole area. But then I leave, a handful or a quarter, whatever it is, in there to let it regrow again. So you take it out, and you're physically removing those nutrients. So it may very well release some back into the water when it dies. However, a little bit of die-off isn't a big deal because, in theory, from what I've heard, is that it will release amino acids back into the water. Fish Frenzy! Thanks, buddy. I would like to give Fish Frenzy a big thank you for using the super chat. Much appreciated. And he just started a new channel. So if you haven't checked him out, check him out. And if you don't know how to check out a channel, you can click on somebody's username and say go to channel. So thanks, Fish Frenzy. Appreciate it.
Also, I heard that people were saying they were taking the algae out and putting some of it in their tank and sell the display tank, that their fish eat it too.
Yeah, it depends
Not
on
a lot of it, just a little small bit.
Yeah, if your fish will eat it, I mean, that's free food. You might as well.
Yeah,
Is there
exactly.
any fish that eats Chaeto though? You know what? That's the next experiment I'm going to set up. I'm actually going to try maybe Calerpa. No, actually, Calerpa will not work in a Chaeto reactor because it really needs a substrate. Calerpa, the feather Calerpa, which is what I have. Maybe the grape Calerpa will, but that might be my next experiment. Not
Mhm.
on my tank because I've promised everyone I am not doing any more experimenting on my big tank. So I'll do an experiment somewhere else.
I don't know. I heard you already ordered some bulbs.
I did. I put them on today, so no more experiment.
So is
No
that a
more.
change already?
Well, the okay. We don't want to get too much off topic, but the aqua blue special was too white, so I went with a more traditional. I saw Billy Pipe's tank,
Hmm.
and I like his color tone, so
Yep.
I copied his bulb
Okay.
layout exactly, which is two blue plus, one actinic, and one purple, one coral plus.
Nice.
And so,
Okay.
yeah,
That's what you're getting. What's coming for you, eh? Excellent.
so it's done. No, I actually put it on today, and it's done. So no more changes.
All right. Okay. We'll see. See how long you last. Um.
Um, yeah.
I'm
Next thing we'll
So
see algae in his tank being fed to his fish.
yep.
with so I just want to tell everyone that I have a 75-gallon tank,
Hmm.
and it's overstocked. So I have fish that do not belong in there. I think at this point I have probably 17 or 18 fish.
Oh
You know,
Jesus.
17
Hmm.
or 18 fish. And the Chaeto reactor is keeping nutrients low. In fact, the last time I did a Triton test, Triton, both my tanks, I have a 14-gallon nano with four fish, couple invertebrates. My kids feed it. So my kid feeds like a pinch full of flakes every day and a cube of mysis on alternate days. So, with the kids taking care of that, it
Hmm.
gets overfed. In fact, some days it gets double fed because we don't communicate on who's feeding. And my last Triton test, phosphates were point zero, like three zeros, and it was below what Triton is recommending you keep your phosphates. So they do work when once they're sized properly and pumped properly, they do absolutely work.
Hmm.
And no water changes. The nano tank has been 4 months. The big tank, I had some calcium issues, so I had to do a water change. But in terms of nutrients management, I haven't done any water changes for nutrient management in 3 to 4 months.
Oh, that's pretty good. Not bad
Oh
at all.
man, there's a bet on when I'm doing a change to my tank. Over under. Oh, come on. Wow. Wow.
That's awesome.
Uh, oh wow.
um,
Um,
on that, I will not commit to no changes because I'm terrible. However, I might buy some Miracle Mud tomorrow. We'll see. I've been thinking about trying it. It's kind of like a nutrient kind of battery and extent. Actually, I wonder if that will affect the Chaeto at all. On that
I don't
random
know.
note.
I have Miracle Mud, but I've always used Miracle Mud,
Hmm.
only because I think it's the best. So that little 2-gallon refugium I have is to grow pods basically because I have two mandarins and a 75.
Hmm.
And so, in my experience, I don't have any evidence to talk about the trace elements. What Miracle Mud does. I know in my experience is the best to grow pod. It's the best substrate for pods.
Hmm.
I've done deep sand beds and such a lot. In my since I've been keeping reef tanks for 6 years,
Hmm.
and the best microfauna substrate by far has been Miracle Mud, and that's why I use it. So I
Okay.
don't, yeah, that's why I use it, and it works 100% for that. I have two mandarins, and I need to keep them fed and happy, along with a lot of wrasses,
Hmm.
and it works.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So another question for you. So you have the packs, which you have those little vials of stuff to dose your tank, aka food for the macroalgae.
Mm-hmm.
Do you dose any of that in your kid's tank that does not have it and has a DIY reactor?
So the thing I guess I realized is that when you're doing Triton kind of has this stuff. Do Triton the four Triton solution has elevated levels of these things that, kind of encourages macroalgae growth. But every now and again, when, the last Triton test I did said a few elements were low, iron and some stuff, yes, I did use the Pax Bellum, you know, nutrients to kind of bring those up to level.
Okay. Okay, so now that's good to know. So someone earlier was saying, I think they were saying Aquavita Fuel had a bunch of those nutrients in it, and their Chaeto started taking off once they started dosing that. So I've never tried that one, so I'm actually just looking it up now to see what's actually in it.
I think that's amino acids.
Is it?
It might contain some trace element stuff. Yeah, I've done it a couple of times. Like the first time I put a Chaeto reactor, oh man, it went crazy for about 2 months, and then it stopped.
Exactly, and that's
I couldn't. And then I had to do, even though nutrients were low, it stopped growing. I had to do a huge water change to get it to go again, and then it would go for a month or two. Then it would stop, and it would get this dark green. And it was a cycle until I still don't know what those elements are. I mean, because I got them with the Pax Bellum, that's why I'm guessing it's those. But Cruz Arias, who was on a few weeks ago, said, yeah, it's probably those elements. Molybdenum. I finally can pronounce that, by the way. Molybdenum.
That's good.
So it's probably molybdenum and iron and a couple other minor ones that macroalgae need to get that accelerated growth. So
okay, so it's mainly amino acids in that one. It does have a bunch of those other ones in small bits of it, so that makes sense. Amino acid equals fat from pigs. Is that actually what it is?
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting.
Interesting.
I've never thought about it. Oh, good to know.
Yeah, I know Rico does Aquavita Fuel.
Okay. Lundy Boy, that's what I use. Aquavita Fuel. My Chaeto no longer has algae on it and it's growing again. So question, how long have you been using that for and how long have you been running your Chaeto reactor? So that's kind of...
Is that for Lundy Boy?
Yep. So I'm just curious, like long term, if that's been working to supplement like the iron and the other stuff that the Chaeto's sucking up. Mainly help produce phosphates that the Chaeto can use. So another thing to consider, actually, Dave put a great thing in my head. Deathmate, sure, I'll drop you a link in a sec. So on that, so Dave was saying amino acids may help produce phosphates that Chaeto can use. And that brings up a really good point. Because Chaeto or your algae, you need phosphate and nitrates, right? If you only have one of the two, it doesn't work quite as well. So I know, like, just a bit of a spin-off, but with carbon dosing, if you don't have any phosphates, your nitrates aren't going to lower. You have to have both in order for it to work properly. I'm not 100% sure, but I kind of have a feeling it's a similar ideal with Chaeto. And, if one of your nutrients is lacking, it's going to not absorb everything as well, because it could be potentially stunting its growth or stunting its absorption as it grows of different minerals in your tank. So I've been using fuel for 2 weeks. Okay. So yeah, keep us updated on how that goes long term. I'm curious to see if that makes a big difference with it. Like if it gets used up right away or if it's going to keep supplementing and keep going long term. Because it's usually
I wonder if that's why that's why Triton kind of recommends that you just leave the algae in and let some of it die off instead of kind of emptying it every month or as soon as it grows, because the algae dying off produces something which helps kind of feed a cycle by itself.
Yeah, I could see it. Because, yeah, I mean, if something's limiting the growth, right, that's 100% makes sense. So anything you can do to kind of prevent that lack thereof, whatever nutrient, is going to save it for you. So, but yeah, so I am curious. So Dave was saying he thinks that the Miracle Mud does provide a bit of iron, so that could be one thing. So we'll find out. I might go to that store tomorrow, so maybe I'll get some. Do it this weekend. We'll see. New experiment. I'm kind of going away on vacation for a couple of weeks, so I'm a little bit hesitant to do anything too much, but Miracle Mud's probably safe.
Yeah, Miracle Mud is safe. Well, Dave has Dave's Nano Tank in the chat has a good video of sort of how to add it to his system, some of the challenges he had in terms of soaking it to ensure you don't, because the first time I did it, I just added it to a live system.
Yeah.
And then I had everything covered in dust. So Dave has a good video on how to soak it to ensure that you don't get that dust. You don't have everything covered in dust So that's a good watch.
All right, I'll check out that one later, Dave. Good afternoon, Dr. Wilson Magic. Dave's saying he never removes more than half his Chaeto.
Yeah, another thing that I would say is kind of a drawback of a Chaeto reactor is, I guess, because it's a small area and there's not a lot of Chaeto, I don't see that pH boost that I would see if I had a large refugium. So let's say you had a large refugium, that's your own. So let's say if I was doing Triton and I had 10 to 20% system volume in a refugium lit properly, and versus a compact Chaeto reactor, because you don't have the large chunk of algae that's breathing, I guess you don't see that big pH boost at night that you would see. So I think that's one drawback. That's another drawback I just want to point out.
No, I agree with you on that one. I definitely had a better pH boost using that 90-watt LED versus my little reactor.
Yep.
So that is one. That and pods. I'd say those are the only two really drawbacks I can think of.
You'll probably have to empty them every
2 weeks. I was going to ask about the pods.
Yeah, it's definitely more beneficial to have a big chamber full of Chaeto for pods. Where the reactor, I find, is probably due to partial, you have high flow going through it most of the time. A lot of that stuff will mess with it. Mage, show your corals a little bit. Usually I try and keep it on topic at least for the first chunk, and then after that it can be a little wherever. my goal is an hour, 45 an hour on topic, then we can stray a bit after that. But yeah, otherwise it's all over the place. Mage only Chaeto reactors for 20 minutes.
Someone said, Joshua, I think you said Marine Depot is now selling a kit.
Yes.
Yep.
They have the Pax Bellum you're talking about. Then they also have their own little one that they put together, what Devin's got, that where it's a homemade one. It's $150 for the smaller one I looked, and the taller one is it's a 2 foot tall, roughly $172. And I'm like, yeah, it's got a cobalt pump, the Aquamax reactor. I was looking at it a little bit ago.
That's the one I used exactly. Marine Depot's. I used Marine Depot's things to build my first Chaeto reactor, and it worked. I had an Aquamax reactor sitting around, so I didn't buy, but I just bought the lights from them. Yeah, so I think it's expensive because you can put a little bit on that at 150, 160. You can put a little bit on that and get a fully functional, self-contained, way better skims reactor from Bulk Reef Supply. That's
what I'm saying.
And I think he has the Bulk Reef Supply. I've never seen it in person, but I think it has better spectrum. And it's a self-contained unit that the pump is on the bottom, so you just need it to sit in the water. And, and then there's a valve where you can control the flow through. When you're emptying it, it's not so DIY. It can actually sit in the sump. So, there are, I think, for the price. But if you have a reactor sitting around, the stuff.
Oh yeah, make your own.
Yeah,
I've seen people make them with I use the I've made one with a Aquamax reactor. I've made one with the 2 little fishies reactor. I see people use that BRS the single BRS reactors, the BRS double reactors, and just wrap the lights around both reactors. So I've seen a couple of implementation of these. All of these, work.
Any clear chamber that's watertight is really the only requirement.
Yep.
Someone in the chat, Lou S, was just saying he doesn't have a sump. In that case, actually, Chaeto reactors are the perfect solution because you don't need a sump chamber.
Ones.
Yep, you can get a lot of people use the 2 little fishies because they have a little hang-on reactor. All you got to do is wrap lights around it, and you can pop some Chaeto in there. And that's a great solution for sumpless systems.
Yeah, my buddy has a BioCube 24. I think it's the BioCube 24, and I helped him build one. And he just snapped the thing off the back, put a little pump into the back sump, the little back chamber that's on the BioCube 24, and hang the Chaeto reactor on the back, and runs water through it, and that's it. And it doesn't mess with the aesthetics of the BioCube because it's on the back.
Yep, all hidden. If you can hide it, that's the way to go. Blade 400 Flaggers asking, what flow are people running through the reactors? I don't have a meter on it, so I don't really have any way of quantifying it, but
Okay, I can.
it's
So
a steady
on my,
flow. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say I may have some data on this. So the Pax Bellum recommends 150 gallons per hour flow through it. I'm putting 120, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because I'm putting 100 between 100 and 120. I am checking my flow meter now, and it says 115.
Okay,
And that is because
gallons per hour.
I have a manifold, so water gets recirculated in my sump a lot. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel like I had to do the because I think they recommend 150 because of the contact time. Don't
Yep.
go faster than 150 because you need proper contact time. But because of a manifold, it gets multiple passes before it gets back to the display. I
Mm-hmm.
felt comfortable doing. I felt comfortable doing less than the recommended 150.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the small tank, I'm using like a mini 100 per gallon pump. So with head pressure, I'm probably getting a little bit less than that. But the pump I'm using on a 14-gallon nano is 100 gallons per hour.
Okay. Yeah.
And both are working.
Okay. Now, sorry. Someone in the chat was asking about the recommended LED light strips. I've tried a few different ones. I've tried warm whites, cool whites, and I haven't tried the red and blue strip yet. I'm going to. Probably my next thing on my list, probably when I get back from Mexico. I'm going to try that. The blue and red ones. But basically, honestly, the white ones, the warm whites, they both grew Chaeto. So there wasn't a huge difference between the two. Not enough that I could say like a night and day difference. So next will be the blue and red ones, and I'll see. So both have worked. The war. Yep. So,
I am gonna post a link to a just the Chaeto reactor that's running on my kid's nano tank, if that's okay.
yep.
I'll
Go for
post
it.
it in the chat. So um, that is how it looks. It also serves as a night light for them. So that is the two little fishies reactor running on the back of their tank. I also have another, if you don't mind me posting another link.
Yep.
This is when I was running just a standard Petco tank that I took down earlier this year, and this was every month because this was I think every 6 weeks. That was running the standard kit from Marine Depot, and you can see how the Chaeto um, just was growing aggressively the first couple of weeks, and then it slowed down significantly. I
Mm-hmm.
think because the nutrients, got low, but everyone can see like a little bit of evidence there of they do work.
Yep. So there is.
Um, ReefDudes, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. I just want to show my corals that I got from. Am I echoing? Okay. That I got from Oh, he sent me some corals.
Mm-hmm. You got the mute your
Is
YouTube
that
in the
me?
background. Yes. The eerie ear. Yeah.
All right, Mage, I think you have to mute one. You're on twice.
Mm-hmm.
I think because you're showing corals.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah, my headset was not muted. Okay. So sent me some corals because people say, when you gonna put corals in your tank? Now I do have corals in the tank, just not a lot like people think I should have. But I take my time and do what I want to do. So, but I said that if anybody wants to rush and put corals in my tank, they can send me some. So sent me some, and he sent me he let me pick out what I want. So I got this thing right here. I don't know what it is. Torch or some type of euphilia. It's supposed to be a green tip. And
Torch.
then this one.
That's a torch.
Okay. And then I got another torch that's supposed to be a purple tip. And then I got
It's a good haul from O.
this toadstool. It hasn't come out. It's starting to come out. The little things starting to come out just a little bit.
That's a nice fairy wrasse, or not fairy, leopard blue star leopard wrasse, I think it was in the background.
Oh yeah, him.
Yeah, he's pretty.
I've had him for a while now. I'm surprised the first one I had dug under the sand and never came back out. So, there's Maleficent right there.
Nice.
She's doing her thing. And I got some cleanup crew today, and in my cleanup crew I got this lettuce slug looking thing. I hope it doesn't get eaten, but I didn't know that came in the pack, but it's in there.
Cool.
And I got my mantis. I know y'all haven't seen the tank in a while, so it's still here. Everything's still living.
No, it all looks happy.
But I do corals in here, just not a lot, like, everybody else. But they're in here.
Excellent.
But thank you, O. A stream to thank O, but you had a stream up, so I was like, I'll just come on your stream.
And O's here, so there you go.
Yeah. So y'all can get back to talking Chaeto now.
Sounds good. Nice haul. Nice haul from Mr. Roofing with O.
He helped me out. Thanks.
Yep. Excellent. In the chat, a few people were saying too, a lot of people seem to use the red and blue lights. So my next experiment's going to be to try that, because I started with warm white, then I put on cool white, and next I'm going to try the red and blue and just see if I notice a difference. I feel there was a slightly better growth with the warm whites over the cool whites. I don't think it was a huge. It may just be all in my head. So the next one, I want to try the red and blue ones and see if there's a noticeable difference between the two.
Isn't warm whites more daylight? Maybe that's why it works versus the cool white?
Yeah, so in general, warm whites, it's around
daylight.
3 to 4,300 Kelvin. Daylight is around 5,000, and then cool white's generally around the 6,500 K.
All right, so I am going to, if you find any, because the one of the lights I used, Dev, was recommended by you, ReefDudes. So if you do find any LED grow strip lights on Amazon, please send me the link.
Okay, we'll do. Yeah, so far there hasn't been a big difference from original ones. But okay, sorry, go ahead.
I actually found a blue and red grow lights for LED strip that you can just tape onto your or zip tie down. I lost the link though, but I found it was waterproof and everything. I had a controller and all.
Oh, I did. You know what? I do. You know what? I think he's right. Okay, I just found them. I think it's on Amazon. It's Abel LED strip plant grow lights, and it's blue-red with a little bit of white.
Yep.
It's for hydroponics.
Yep. That's the one I think I found.
It's $23, and it looks like it'll work.
Yeah.
In fact, it looks exactly the same like the one you recommended to me, ReefDudes.
Yep. Except
this is just a different spectrum. So I'm confident it'll work.
All right, I just dropped the link to the one that O's talking about right now. It's the one that we're looking at. I do too, actually. I think that's going to be, when I get back, I'll try it. I'm trying to pick one and leave it for a few months, then pick a different spectrum, leave it for a few months, and then just keep doing that and just see if there's any noticeable difference.
Yeah, I'll try it on the nano because the big tank, no more changes. So
yeah, I was gonna say, wait, we were talking about no changes earlier, and you're talking about changing colors already.
no more changes. So I am gonna probably experiment on the
kids'
but you
tank?
know what though? I'll leave the experiment to someone else because exclusive. Hey man, you're in Queens, you're close by. If you want to do some experimenting with me, I'm happy to. But I think both tanks are going so well, I am reluctant to change anything and mess with anything. So I think, if I can find someone, Dave, if you want to do an experiment with me, let me know.
By someone, you mean a test subject?
Yeah. Well, no, let's not say that. That sounds so harsh.
No, it's fine. I test on my friends' things all the time.
That sounds kind of harsh. Let's
the future sonic lights.
Yeah, exactly. I like test subjects. I only have one tank. If I got to test stuff,
I'm good.
I only have one tank at the moment. I'm gonna do a second one maybe next year. But for now, I gotta rely on friends' tanks to experiment. That's that point. So
that's what my son's
I'll put this out there. I'm
to.
free for experimentation. If you guys send me the equipment, I'll let you experiment on my tanks.
Yep.
The nano tank, my kid's nano tank, was supposed to be sort of like experimenting a little bit, but now it's going so well that
Mhm.
I am reluctant to touch anything. Like the fish are thriving.
Mhm.
There's corals. Acans are sort of my boogie coral,
Mhm.
and acans are thriving in the nano tank. So I am reluctant to sort of test anything. And I think running them side by side is not a good experiment. So I think for now, I'd rather, you know what, I might, because the Accel Aquatics light, no, no, here's why. The Accel Aquatics light for Marine Depot, I gotta say, it's not that great.
Mhm.
It comes in like a bunch of different pieces that you have to glue together. It's actually not a great piece of equipment. I'm just saying, and the fact that you're using it um, close to saltwater, just be careful of it. So
Mhm.
actually, even though the lights, the Chaeto reactor I built with the lights you recommended, ReefDudes,
Yep.
is not waterproof,
Mhm.
I think it's at least splash proof.
Yeah, I would
Um,
agree. I just wouldn't submerge them, but I wouldn't worry about water getting on them. Just I wouldn't put them in the water physically.
yeah. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get one of those grow lights, and I'm going to. One thing, Lewis S said something aqua clear, which reminds me. There is I forgot his name. Reef Spy. I think
Yep.
we've seen Reef Spy. I don't think he's here now. Reef Spy actually built like a fluval aqua clear.
Mhm.
It's the hang on the back filter. I sort of have one, for quarantine systems. You can easily spin it up for quarantine.
Yep.
He is, he's
Oh
made
yeah.
one. He made one. He just put a Chaeto reactor.
Mhm.
Well, he made a mini Chaeto reactor. Just put a grow light on the back and made like a really good Chaeto chamber from
Mhm.
like the fluval aqua clear. So you can sort of um, for years I've heard people say shop lights grow coral, which I agree with.
Mhm.
I 100% agree.
Yep.
But I think if you put a little bit more effort into the lights, whether it's the UFO grow light or something else, you can probably aggressively grow coral
Mhm.
and sort of reduce the need for water changes. So whether it's the Par 32 lights or one
Mhm.
of the expensive ones or the UFO one, which is only like $30. If you put a little bit more effort, you can use a small refugium but better lights
Mhm.
and still get sort of the same good performance.
Yep. So Martin was just showing off the bulb that he was using, which is like a LED light from Home Depot. So it said 450 lumens. I don't know if it said how many. Is there a number with a K on it? So out of curiosity.
No,
No.
actually, it's
Okay.
just four right here. It's 450 lumens,
Is it warm
10
white,
watts.
cool white? What kind of color is it?
Yeah, it's just like a daylight bulb. I'm assuming
Okay.
probably in the 6500K.
Okay.
This is
Yes.
it's down here right now. I mean, this
Is it
it's not
similar
too
to
bright, but
that Par 38 bulb that kind of BRS tested? Because if it's similar, those bulbs are good. They work
this
great.
I got from either Menards or Home Depot, and they're
Mhm.
LEDs with that like weird,
Got a little diffuser
almost like
panel on it.
a little screen over, like not screen, but
Yeah, it's more just diffuse it to make it the light a bit more even.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if 450 lumens is good enough, but I leave it on 24/7, and my Chaeto runs ragged.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. How long have you been running that one for?
I've been running this for over a year now.
Oh, excellent. Nice. Now, do you supplement anything for your Chaeto growth, or it just does its thing and it's good?
No, I just feed heavy.
Mm-hmm. So you probably get lots of nutrients from the food.
I put in fuel,
Mm-hmm.
potassium, iodine. Uh, that's pretty much it. And then obviously I do the 2-part BRS.
Yep.
The 2-part BRS right there.
So you dose potassium and iodine, you said separately?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I put potassium, iodine, and I also do the fuel.
Okay, nice.
And that's all I do. I don't do water changes. Before I even heard any of you guys, I just decided not to do water changes just to see what would happen. And now I hear a lot of guys with bigger tanks saying that they don't do them, and I have not had a problem.
Do you want to see that curve?
Now I do run a biopellet reactor. An Accel biopellet reactor, oversized skimmer, and I got just a baby Refugium. But other than that, that's it.
Roy Cruz, an appreciation of an interesting, informative channel. Thank you so much, Roy. Much appreciated, buddy. I appreciate that super chat.
You know, he mentioned potassium and iodide. For some reason, every time I do a Triton test, I come back deficient on those. So that's actually something I don't dose them regularly, but every time I get a Triton test back, I've bought like some big containers of iodine and potassium. So every time I sort of, get a Triton test back, I have to dose.
Okay.
No, I don't. I only put it in once a week. It's the concentrated stuff. It's the real, like, you only got to put like a drop for every 30 gallons. I use that once a week, and then I do the fuel. It's supposed to do 30 mLs. I put about 50 in once a week, and then potassium. And and I do the strontium and whatever that manganese or whatever that stuff is, strontium together, made by Kent.
Yep. I might actually try the fuel. I'm curious to see if that makes a difference in it.
I just bought the fuel, the refuel.
Yeah, the fuel. I'm telling you, guys, my corals. I don't know. Well, on my phone, you really can't see it, but like that SPS right there, in person, it is so blue underneath the polyps. It's ridiculous. Like even that acro right there in the middle, they're all purple tips. It didn't have it. I just bought that coral right there.
Hey Martin, Exclusive Reef's asking if you're testing for your iodine and potassium. Like, are you keeping at a certain level?
No, I don't test my potassium or iodine, but that's why I put the recommended dose for like they say just to kind of maintain it. So I put 2 capfuls of that in. So I don't. It hasn't failed me yet. Am I supposed to be doing that? No. You're supposed to probably be, if you're putting it in, test for it. But I just been doing it the way I've been doing it, and I've been getting away with it. So
on that note,
today is the first time I got some amino acids yesterday, and today's the first time. Even when I was doing Zeovit, I wasn't dosing aminos. So today I started. I don't have any evidence to say it's working, but I did buy. BRS had a sale on the Elos amino acids, and I started dosing it today. So we'll see how that goes.
I mean, fuel it's. I buy the gallon jug. It's expensive, but my local fish store gives it to me for like $60 a gallon. So it's not bad, but it's normally 120 at my store. But I think whatever is in there, I couldn't tell you. I see it on the back, but I think everything that's in there is really what the corals really like, because knock on wood, I have not yet lost a coral that I've purchased in a year.
Nice. Yeah, your tank's looking really nice. I've for the amino acids, which is mainly what the fuel is. I know they have a bit of other stuff, but I've only ever used the 2 Little Fishies brand. But I'll have to try that one and see if there's any difference in it.
Yeah, and I feed the corals heavily. I feed them rotifers, the frozen stuff. I feed chilies. I feed reef roids. I feed Phyto Feast, Oyster Feast.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, I just mix it all up together, make like a milkshake looking thing, and then I spot feed, and then I dump the rest in. I do that probably every 2 days.
Okay, nice. So in the chat, Exclusive, I think it was saying he wouldn't add anything to the tank unless you test. So just throwing this out there. I know I said it before, but Red Sea Coral Colors, same thing. I think I was kind of blindly set up the doser to do 2 mils a day, and I didn't test for like a month, just being lazy. And I finally tested and realized that at least 2 of them were like way too much. So I toned my doser down to 1 mil every second day, and now I haven't tested in a while. I probably should, but it's way better. Everything's more in line. So it is a good idea to test once in a while on some of that stuff, just to make sure you're not getting too crazy out of line with how much you dose. So much for mine. Keshel's shimmer is untouchable. So on that, okay, I'm just throwing this out there, pal, for you. I just uploaded the video on the Ecotech diffusers on Monday, 2 days ago. and it's actually really nice shimmer. I'm really digging the light and the color blending and all that stuff from there. So I'm curious to try and find some that will let me borrow a Kessel for a couple days and compare it side by side. But I'm digging the new shimmer and not having the scattery disco one that you normally get from the LED diodes.
Yeah, that's why Kessel was like one of the top LEDs, though, because they had that no disco ball effect like most people do. And now, like you're sharing your video talking about the diffuser, it makes a big difference.
Oh, huge difference. There's
love my Kessels. I am running my Kessels and T5s now, and it gives a nice balanced shimmer. The shimmer on the Kessels is unmatched, and so with the T5s, it's kind of muted. Because at night, I will be honest, when the tank is on all blue, the Kessel shimmer can be terrible. So what I like to do now is when it's coming down at night, I like right now, the lights are getting ready to go off, I do a 50-50 mix.
Yep.
Like, I can't go any bluer than that. Or, the Kessel, when the T5s go off, the Kessel shimmer is blinding.
Really?
Yeah, on the ceiling now, I have a nice effect but the Kessel shimmer is unmatched. Unmatched.
We'll find out. We have a good runner up here.
With the Radions? No.
Hey, you haven't seen it with the diffuser. It's a whole different ballgame. So, without...
I think the my opinion is that the diffuser sort of... You know what? You're right. But I'm still, as someone who's seeing, the Ecotech, who's had both, Kessel shimmer is unmatched. And in fact, in my opinion, the 360 shimmer is better than the AP700s.
Okay, so just throwing this out here quickly. We lasted 50 minutes on topic, so good job.
I know.
That's pretty good. My goal is 45 minutes to an hour on topic, and after that, whatever. So we lasted 50 minutes. That was good. If there is any Chaeto Reactor questions in the comments, feel free to ask it. Otherwise, it sounds like we get sucked into lighting again, so it seems to happen a lot. So I just want to throw... What's that, sorry?
Anybody using a scrubber as well as the Refugium or the reactor?
I have not tried one, but I'd be curious to one of these days.
Is my video coming through right now?
Yep, I can see it. So you got the Santa Monica one.
I picked up that one.
Yep.
It's only been going for, I bet you, a week, and there's basically nothing on there. I started out with the one light like they suggest. They say go one light to start and then two. But I've got nothing on there with one after a week. And then I got fired of the second one, and I haven't checked it in about 3 days. So I'm going to take a peek here in a bit. But I also picked up this for the Refuge. I don't know if you guys have run into these yet.
Hey, ReefDudes,
fairly inexpensive.
Shimmer in the ceiling. Look at that shimmer in the ceiling. I have 2 videos on, but Radions can't do that.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
I don't know if you can see the tank or not, but that's with the AP700.
Oh, it's looking pretty good.
They're running
that shimmer, dude.
60%. 60% right now.
Yep.
The tank's still young. She's only not even a year yet.
Yeah, nice.
This is 25% shimmer. 25% shimmer.
On the roof?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, we'll see. I'll see if I can find someone to let me borrow a Kessel and we can compare. Woody's Reef was asking about the Focus 1.0 my friend's tank. Overall, he seems really super happy with it. He is, I'm going to go over to his house. I am leaving town on the 21st, and I want to have a video before then, so probably next week I'm going to go to his place, because then I'll have been on his tank for a few weeks, and I'll do an update video on it and kind of check in and see, what are his thoughts, how are the corals doing, and do a video on that one.
Oh my God.
Rolling out to Calgary, buddy?
I am going to Mexico to get married.
Oh, hey, there you go.
Yeah. That should be good.
That's better in Calgary.
Yeah, a little warmer. But
word of advice: don't drink the water.
Yeah, it's all inclusive. I should be okay.
It's got booze in it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I sterilize it. Does a reactor discolor the water like a scrubber, or do you notice with ozone? So ozone does get rid of any discoloration in the water. I don't know. I know. Yeah, I can't say. If there is any discoloration from my reactor, the ozone would have canceled out and I wouldn't even notice. Seymour, have you noticed any difference in coloration on yours? I do run carbon as well, so my water is like ultra clear. But
I don't have any issues with let's say more than others. I did turn the ozone off. I turned it off before I said no more changes. So don't get me on that. But I didn't notice any more discoloration than anything. Does really scrubbers add more coloring agents to the tank versus a reactor? I don't know. It's just Chaeto, so I don't think in terms of having a standard refugium with Chaeto versus the Chaeto reactor, I don't think there's any difference. It's just space and maybe the lighting is more intense. I think it's probably more space than anything. So I don't think so. I don't think more than anything else.
Okay. I have heard that it does get a bit of yellowing off of the torch scrubbers, so I have heard that before. As for Chaeto, I don't think Chaeto does. If it does, it's minimal, and if it is, I'm assuming it's probably from a bit of the die-off and the amino acids that it will leach back into your water. But yeah, I can't say 100% on mine just because between carbon and ozone, my water is super clear.
I have one lighting related thing just to go back to. So since I put T5s on the tank, I bought this torch from Rico called a Hellfire torch, which I absolutely love. It was a couple of different shades of purple, green, and since I added the T5 a few days ago, one of the heads has completely changed color into like this bright fluorescent yellow and green. This has been interesting. I love the new coral. I love the new color more than the old color. It's just interesting that, a week into completely new lighting technology, the color of the coral has completely changed. 100%.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Just an interesting observation.
One thing that I find actually interesting, I'm curious to see too, because you have the LED T5 blend now, how some of your corals change color a bit. Because I have one buddy that's all T5s, and I always find it super fascinating when I get a frag or we trade frags, and I go see how they look different from one tank to the next.
So my that's the only one that has seen a dramatic shift in color. Everything else is different shades. So Zoas are a brighter shade of orange, which I like. Greens look better, and oranges look better. I don't know if it's because of the combination of bulbs. My bubble tip anemone is loving life now.
Yeah.
He split. I had 3. One is split. Now I have 4. A couple of them have bubbled up, and one has changed color to like a couple different shades of green, orange, red. But everything is just interesting, just different shades of everything. Greens have gotten more vibrant, but that one changed colors completely changed color. Everything else is just different shades. The one color I didn't really like is I had some candy cane corals that were like a tealish color, like a nice, when the ocean is like sort of teal, a nice teal color. It's gone like a really sort of, think of like a dirty Carolina blue uniform. Like a Carolina uniform that's been out in the sun for like 10 years.
Yeah.
That's the color. So that's the only color change I don't like. Everything else has been for the better.
Okay.
But it's just interesting that, the colors have shifted a little bit, which I expected to some degree, but not this fast and not this dramatic.
Yeah. Okay, something I just want to comment on. So Pelfer was just saying, Gone Reef Central did a test, the same coral. Scrolling, here was it. Okay, did a test. So same coral, one under T5s, one under Radions, another under Kessel. Acro under Kessel, encrusted faster, same tank, just opposite sides. So a few things. Question, is that all similar par as well? Because I know there's a lot of different things. Like if you have certain corals under higher par, some will grow more upwards, and some under the same coral under lower par will encrust. So, and there's also different things too, where if you have a wider, warmer spectrum, you'll get more growth out of it. You won't get the colors, but you'll get more encrusting, or you'll get more physical growth. Where if you go for the bluer spectrum, you're gonna get more coloration. So it would, in order to kind of fully compare them, I mean, you'd probably have to match the photo period as well as par and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, there's lots. I've been diving crazy into how light affects coral growth lately and different things, and a lot of them make a difference. You know, you can, like, for some Monties too, right? Just the shape of the Monty will change based on your par, or like how much, maybe not your par per, whatever you want to call it, how much photons of light it's getting per photo period. You know, a shorter versus photo period all can affect the way a coral grows. So it's kind of crazy.
Nothing
And
tells me.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
One side had Radion, the other
Okay.
had Kessel, and it sparked a huge debate. But nothing sparks a huge debate like lighting does.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
tell.
Half our live
Oh,
streams
no.
end up on lighting.
The reason, one of the I like the Kessel shimmer, but one of the reasons that I kind of went with Kessel is it's almost like a foolproof. I can't mess it up because T5s, I just put the bulb combination I want. Then with the Kessel, I just tune it to whatever visual color I like. Like
Yep.
it shifts the spectrum automatically. So I just want light. Like I want to experiment or test things, but I don't want light to be, I don't want to mess with light. Right now, if I can't grow any coral, I know it's not the light. It has to be me or something in the water because I'm using sort of like almost like the best of both worlds. And
Anybody know what's going on right there with that Setosa?
I just wanted to take one variable out of it and not having to worry about it.
Yeah. In the future, I kind of want to have a second test tank for experiments. I was laughing. Dave's like, they're all test tanks, but I got to keep the main one nice and stable and nothing too crazy, just subtle changes.
Yeah, I went with Kessels only because I got a really good deal, and I have 2 Kessels, the goosenecks, and the controller for $300. It was
Nice.
6 months old system.
Nice.
Yeah, I couldn't pass it up. I mean, you can't pass. That's no way you can pass that up.
Exactly. Jim, red and blue coming Friday. What did you buy? Oh, the lights. Nice. Excellent, Jim. So
You
you were
guys got
asking
any
about your
idea?
Setosa?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, that's just today. Like, I don't know if you can see the tips. It's like, I don't know if I know that little Blenny was kind of picking at it. It looked like he was just not eating it, but just kind of bugging it. But I don't know if those are just retracted in or, like, how do you find with the Setosa? Because I hear you go bright light. You need to go, get out of there, guys.
Anything I would say acclimate, like it looks like you have it in a shaded area. I would say
It's
leave it there.
semi-shaded.
Yeah, just leave it there until the one thing. I mean, my lights are going down now, but I've had Setosa and Samacor and Monticor are 3 corals where if you have a little bit of flesh left, it can regrow. It'll regrow the fresh over. So if it ever gets worse and you want to frag it, putting in 2 different locations to sort of double your luck a little bit.
And you know what? That's what I've got. See, you can see a piece of that broke off, and I don't know if you can see it tucked in the back there. I've got it up on the top shelf.
Yep, I see
and
it.
It's kind of doing the same thing because I heard that when orange Setosa gets under bright light, it'll actually go pink.
I've had mine under Radions. Mine was like the same color you have now, and mine went terrible. Let me see if I can just show you like a quick. So mine went almost completely bleached, and in the last couple of weeks, I just left it alone. I left most of the corals that bleached, and in the last couple of weeks, let me see if I can show you.
Yeah. In general, I know you're saying about the Setosa in kind of the light level. It does become a little bit lighter, more pinky, like orangey or pinky higher, at least in my experience, and lower will be more of a dark orangey, reddy color.
Yeah.
So it does make a bit of a difference on how much light it's getting in the coloration.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but mine.
So Pelfrey was just saying he'd like to try a Chaeto reactor. I don't think it'd do well against my scrubber. You could probably run them both. Kind of depends. Like a LG reactor or Chaeto reactor. I mean, you're running Chaeto, which is now on the turf scrubber you're doing. It's more of like a hair algae, right? So it's a simpler algae.
Yeah.
So you're kind of honestly running them both might even potentially have some merit to it, right? Because you're growing different types of algae, and they potentially might be taking up different nutrients to an extent.
But for the most part,
with my refuge. getting the refuge, the Chaeto and the refuge, and then the scrubber. I just want to try and control these because I've got this Pucani. I went dry Pucani.
Yep.
And it's leaching. She's leaching like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I put in some GFO and I got the phosphates down, but it was upwards of 0.98 on the phosphates, and it was crazy. I got it down to about half of that now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I want to get the scrubbers in there as well. And I was just wondering about this reactor because I haven't even seen one of these Chaeto reactors before. So what's the cost point roughly in Canada on one of those?
For a Chaeto reactor?
Yeah.
I DIY'd mine. It would probably cost me $50-$60, so it wasn't bad at all. But
And how's the footprint in the sump?
now I bought a used older Vertex reactor.
Yeah.
If you can see the YouTube stream, that's a photo I snapped of it earlier today. And I mounted mine horizontally, so that didn't take up any space, mainly because I didn't trust the little China LEDs to be submerged. So I've mounted mine horizontally along the back of my sump, and it's been doing a pretty good job there.
Okay. So that's just your refugium on steroids, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, if you run them both at the same time, basically you're just adding more horsepower.
Yeah.
So if you get around the bend on solving your problem, then you have to just kind of watch that you don't that the two don't compete. But if you've got way too much.
Oh, you're chopping out there, Asa.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yep.
So
I have
might cut out.
I have both. I have a mini Refugium running like a vessel. The Chaeto reactor outcompetes it.
mm-hmm.
The Chaeto in the mini Refugium grows a lot slower. But what I am trying to do, just as a test, but it's not an equipment test, so I don't want to, I am putting Calerpa, feather Calerpa, in the mini Refugium to see if, I think Triton recommends you try different types of algae to see which works best. So I am using both. Healthily, I'm using two different types. I have a Chaeto reactor that I empty religiously every 2 weeks, and I get about a quarter pound of Chaeto out of it every 2 weeks. And then I have a mini Refugium that I empty probably every 3 months, and that grows. That grows and gets packed, and I don't empty it. That I'm moving slowly to Calerpa because I just want to see how Calerpa, two different types of algae, I think is probably more balanced than probably use up two different types of nutrients and then release two different types of carbohydrates or something into the system. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Any better?
I can hear you.
Sir.
Yeah, what I was saying is that
Yep.
that basically you're going to add more horsepower for each one, which is probably obvious. And with this Pecani rock, if you've got a lot of nutrients in there, you could add 2 or 3 or 4 until you get that state of equilibrium. Once you turn the corner, then you want to start looking out for those things to compete with each other, and then you're going to have those cultures kind of start to die out.
Yeah, and that's exactly that. Like I'm testing right now. I'm testing kind of every 2 days because I got the GFO it's just passively in there. It's just sitting in the sock is where I put it. I had it in a reactor before, but I got a pellet reactor going, which I honestly don't think is doing anything. I can't really tell, but yeah, I've got the GFO in there, and it pulled it down quick. GFO is quick. I have no doubt about that, and I just wanted to be cautious with it. But ideally, I'm just all about that. Let's do it as natural and possible. I just don't think there's anything better than growing algae in the sump. Like, I mean, that's the way to do it. And that's what happens natural in the ocean. I mean, I got to go with it. So, yeah, I'm hoping to see how it goes. And every time you guys go this, I'll give you an update on how she's rolling along. But
Okay, sounds good.
the tank is at that point now, right? It's at that 1 year where things are starting to either come around. It's the make or break time.
Okay, I'm going to go up to Lowe's to buy some paint for my algae scrubber.
Excellent.
I'll see you later.
Make her pretty. See you later. Later,
Yep.
Asa. So, a couple things. So one, I'm just trying to catch up in the chat before it scrolls away on me. So Days Nanotank. So he's saying he's lazy. They don't weigh my Chaeto. Yeah, me neither. Although I think about just a test for growth. But so yeah.
I just wanted to test to weigh one time, see how much it is, but I don't weigh it every time. No way.
I will one day for fun. You got to count for water weight though. Gotta dry out. So if you have the space in Refugium, you get more bang for your buck having that physical space with like a high-powered lighting above it. By far, that's your biggest bang for your buck. Space savings, Chaeto reactors, or turf scrubbers, either one's a great way to, get a little more horsepower in a smaller package. Neither as good as for pods, if that's your goal, than that big chamber with a good light on it. Same goes for pH boost. You'll get a better pH boost out of having that bigger chamber with a decent light. You can grow it with cheaper lights, you can grow it with the swirly bulbs, but you just won't get as much growth and you won't get as much of a pH boost. So it will work, it just won't work as well. So it's something to keep in mind there. Doradicates.
How many lumens is your light?
I have no idea.
For your Refugium.
I used to have a 90-watt Evergrow LED, and that thing grew Chaeto like crazy. That was an amazing light. That's actually on my buddy's tanks that has the Focustronics right now. So I just threw that on there. So I'm curious to see how it's going to do in his tank. But on mine,
do you know how many lumens?
No, I never tested it. It was 90 watts of LED though, so it was a lot of power. I could try and test.
Oh yeah, it's got to be way up there then.
Yeah, it was bright.
What's 90 watts? What does that equate to in like the those little curve lights are 6500 K.
Yeah.
So how does that?
Watts doesn't really directly relate to that. I do have a little meter still. If I remember it, I'll try and bring it over and just test it and see what it says.
Yeah.
No promises, but if I remember to bring my laptop and the meter, I'll check it.
Cool.
Did he say he's running both? Was that for Seymour, maybe? Seymour? No, you're not running a turf scrubber and a Chaeto. Is anyone on the call running a Chaeto?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
That's Reef Real Estate. I got the Chaeto going and the turf scrubber. Turf scrubber has been going for about 2.5 weeks, and the Refuge is just going for maybe a week now. So
okay,
really
nice.
early.
It'll be interesting to see. Keep us updated on how they work in tandem, if one will compete the other, or if they both stay happy. I'm curious to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, guinea pig, keep us updated.
I am looking right now to see how much. I never thought until that question was asked. I never thought to see how much watts. That'd be a good way to see how much.
I got a 10-watt bulb, 450 lumens on. It's pretty close, but my Chaeto grows like. I'm telling you, it grows faster than my beard.
So the Paxbellum draws 14 watts, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was that low. I actually thought it was more because I've used 13, 14 watt lights and we're not happy with it.
Well, here, let me check what my swirly ones do.
Maybe slow growth is going to bond to the phosphates and remove some of the nitrates faster than the plant growing too fast, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard that, you want that dark green going, and when it's growing too fast, the bright green kind of takes over.
Yeah, then it gets real stringy. It's like more like hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The faster it grows, because it's just all it's doing is photosynthesizing, and it's just growing and growing. If you get a lower light, lower lumens, run your water through your sump slower. My stuff is real dark, and it's thick. It's thicker than
that's what I've heard is the way to go.
So the max for the Kessel H80 is 15 watts, but on the grow setting on max it draws 10 watts. So that's interesting. So the Paxbellum.
So I got it. That's what my little light from Home Depot is 10 watts, 4 LEDs bulbs, and cost me, I think, $5 for it.
Nice.
My Paxbellum draws 14. And the reason I'm just harping on the watts is I've used lights that used more watts and didn't have the performance. So it looks like, I think DRS kind of proved this. It's not only about the pure raw wattage of the light, it's the right wattage in the right spectrum. That's the right balance to get like the optimal growth.
Yeah, spectrum's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So quick thing in the question. So Exclusive was asking,
people think
how do I?
is better.
Yeah. Well, see, they showed, like, looking at the Kessel ones, the biggest difference, like, they had more physical growth, and they also had the big pH boost. That was the biggest thing in the BRS videos. So Exclusive just asking, how do I block light from going into my skimmer? So I don't worry about the bit of light from my strip lights on my Chaeto reactor, but I did put black acrylic panels. I changed my baffles and just put it against the glass and did that, so I didn't have
that's
as
what
much
I'm
light
gonna do.
spill.
I was looking at that. I was wondering that myself with the spillage in the sump. I'm just like, oh man, all night that's going, and it's right beside the pellet reactor. I'm just like, I'm gonna get some black acrylic and just slide it beside the other beast. Like I literally just had my sump was wide open, and I just put a piece of acrylic clear to almost make like a channel for the left side. This is the, I don't know if you noticed in the video there, but my Refugium's on the close side. I'm going to slide down a piece of black there to block that stuff out too. That was kind of worrying me.
Yeah, black.
That's why I like my sump. It's a black sump.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's all I
But you
did.
seen that shit? Show that video and stuff.
so
PVC little strip
That's one
in
of the
between.
reasons I got rid of that UFO grow light, because I could not prevent the weird algae growth all over the sump. Like I tried everything. My skimmer, if it was just a skimmer, it would have been okay, but I started getting algae growth everywhere. Like it was loud. It was loud. But light spillage, that thing, even though it was about 6 or 7 inches above the refugium, but man, it was growing. I was growing all types of algae everywhere. So
Nice.
that's when I took it off and I couldn't deal with it anymore.
okay,
That might give you the ultimate control, though. you'll have every algae under the sun giving you full removal, right? Like,
Yeah, but then
Do any of you
when it's
guys
time
run a UV?
when it's time to clean it, you have algae all over, and then when it gets loose, it ends up in the return pump. It was just a mess.
okay. So 2 quick questions in the chat. Someone was asking about how much watts it draws. My current swirly one, I just turned it on to see. It's pulling 17 watts, and that's just my LED strip light that's wrapped on my reactor. I just quickly turned it on to check because someone was asking about it. And one other quick question. How are the DIY reactors working? Those are working great. I've been using those for ages now. Those are my like $30 pasta jar type of ones. And those things have been...
Thumbs up for me too. I get 100% thumbs up for me.
Excellent, excellent. So yeah, I use those for ages. I have 2 of them running. One's with carbon. Wait. I'm assuming you're talking about those reactors. We'll go through them all. Okay, so I have made my DIY one. I have one for GFO, one for carbon. Both work great. Use them for ages. And the DIY Chaeto one is also working great. My growth has slowed down. It's not quite as explosive as it was for the first few months. That's one thing we were talking about earlier on the call, was just about how the Chaeto algae uses certain nutrients like the nitrogens, irons, whatever it's pulling out of the water. And once it uses that out, growth will slow. Now, there is stuff like some people are saying they do the aquavito fuel they dose. I know Pax Bellum comes with certain nutrients they give you to add to your water, and that's to replenish it to see. All right, so hopefully that covered it all. Method was asking, what's his name that is speaking? I have no idea how long ago that comment was, so I apologize. I have no idea. And
Way to pay attention.
yeah. Every once in a while, after getting, I'm trying to like catch questions for they scroll away. Reefer Fox, what's the conversion from lumens to lux to par? I do not think there is any straight up conversion. The Senai meter will estimate per based on par. It does check lumens, but lumens lux might have a conversion. I don't think there's a direct relationship to par on that one, so I think you need a proper meter to figure it out. His tank is showing right now. That is Martin.
Chili level 5 is an interesting question. Does anyone have any hard data that running Refugium on reverse daylight period helps stabilize pH?
Yes.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, you take. I was going to say, I mean, we've just seen it by ourselves by doing it. With a pH meter, just seeing. I couldn't keep my pH. From going to like 7.7, 7.6 until I started a Refugium. Even though, I don't get the boost I do if I had like a traditional Refugium, but from years of doing it with like pH monitors, that's all the hard. I've never read like a scientific study, but I'm seeing evidence myself, with my own pH.
You guys think size of the tank makes a big difference on that flux too, doesn't it?
The size of Refugium, yes. I don't know about the tank size. It's more okay. So your pH goes down mainly because of the CO2 level in your water. So if you have a lot of people in your room, like in the wintertime when houses are more sealed up, generally people will have lower pH. If the summer windows are open, that type of stuff, your pH will be higher. Now, in a Chaeto or a Refugium, any type of stuff, as the algae grows, it absorbs CO2, and that's what raises your pH. In the daytime, your corals are growing, and that's going to absorb some of that CO2 and all that stuff as they grow. So at nighttime, when that photosynthesis isn't happening, your pH, your CO2 levels rise and your pH drops. Now, running your Refugium at nighttime will keep that photosynthesis going with the Chaeto algae, and that's why it absorbs the CO2 and then it grows, and that's why you get a higher pH from doing it. So there is evidence, and I'd 100% say yes, it does make it. And I have a pH probe in my tank, and almost every morning I'm like obsessed with checking the pH in the ORP and stuff, just because I'm always tweaking things and trying to level it and all that jazz. So 100%
How's that
say it does.
in the real world as far as the ocean goes?
Good.
In control, from what I understand, it fluxes anyway, and it's not a big deal.
No, it's not a big deal if it fluxes. Okay, so I just Google it quickly. Basics is around averaging 8.2, TH's around 8.1, a drop of 0.1 pH units, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it hovers somewhere around the 8 range in the ocean. I think it's more, not necessarily the fluctuations aren't a huge deal, but if you keep it stable, it generally keeps it a bit higher overall. And it's mainly because that 8 to 8.3 is kind of the unofficial magical zone that people target, because you get a bit better growth out of corals. And why you get better growth out of corals is because when they have a higher pH, it enables them to build their skeletons and all their stuff faster. Where in a lower pH where it's more acidic, it's harder for them to do it. Like if you look at a calcium reactor, you run a lower pH and dissolves the coral skeleton. So too low is bad.
Yeah.
So you want to be in that kind of happy range. That's why most people target it. Don't chase pH. If you chase it, it's an endless battle. I did it for many years just because I obsess over weird things and target it and figure it out. But yeah, so don't go chasing it. Don't use buffers. Buffers are absolutely terrible. They'll mess with other stuff in your tank. But stuff like a Refugium on reverse cycle, all those things are little things you can do that are going to level it out and slowly boost it overall. Running an airline outside is probably the biggest boost you can get on pH. But yeah, running reverse daylight is definitely a good boost and way to do it.
Airline is one of the best sustainable too, because that's what I do. And I can get my pH over 8, especially since I run my alkalinity on the low side, 7, 7.5. Yeah, bringing air in from outside is probably the best thing you can do.
Just don't allow anybody in your house.
Oh, on that note, okay, check this out. Because you say when there's a bunch of people in your house, and they always say that. I had a bunch of people over the other day, and check this out. See that big drop in pH? If you, on the YouTube, whoever can see it behind me. So there's that big drop in pH. Can you guess what day we had a bunch of company over? So there you go. People, stuff breathing in your house definitely affects your pH.
Yeah, you guys, who's got Apex here talking? You guys have Apex?
I got an Apex, yeah.
So you got an ORP probe in yours then too?
I do.
Yeah. Does that correlate as well, do you find?
No, not really.
Not fully. Okay, so let's compare with ORP and pH. So there is a relationship, but it's a weird relationship. Let me go down to say a day. So ORP raises. So I have ORP. It turns on ozone, sorry. It turns on at midnight and runs till 3 or 4 a.m. So it does boost it up at night, and then I feed and whatever, it drops back down. But it is semi-related to pH, but there's no direct correlation. I'm trying to find it, and nothing lines up perfectly. It's kind of like an offsetted thing. Like, see, one's down, one's up. But for a while, it was trending the same way, but slightly offsetted. So it is a weird kind of relationship. I haven't fully understood it. ORP's a very weird, complicated thing, but...
Well, it's definitely runs. It rolls with when you've got, because I've had a fish die off, and then I can literally see the ORP just falling.
Yeah.
And then you look around like, oh, maybe there's something, because when it's drastic, it seems like something's happened in the tank, like something's died or some nutrient levels or something have shot up. That's what I'm finding anyway, just in the last year. Yeah. And then sure enough, you see the fish in the back corner kind of rotten. And then the ORP, it fluctuates like crazy. And I've heard that the probe, you do got to put in the solution and keep it going. But I find when I put in new water on a water change, because my water change comes into my sump and it's near the ORP, it just falls through the floor when I put in new water.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Mine drops too.
And it takes a while for it to stabilize.
Or Yeah.
When you've taken the probe out of the water, I usually find that it takes a few days, maybe up to a week, to start to stabilize and start to like produce, decent readings again. For it to stabilize. I'm not saying there's a magic number I'm chasing, but it takes at least a few days to a week to stabilize again.
Yep.
But yeah, whenever I do water changes, my ORP would go crazy.
But you feed the tank, it drops. Another thing too, aquascaping putty. I use that in the tank today, so you can see it dropped a bit from that. So yeah, I did around lunchtime. So yeah, somewhere around here. So
That's
even
cool. So I just fed while we were on the stream, and my ORP went from 337 to 315, which is interesting.
Yep.
I never realized feeding the tank let it drop like that.
Oh yes, every feeding it will. And then any aquascaping putty or any of that type of stuff you use, it does use up some of the oxygen in the water, so it drops your work. So it's interesting though, eh?
It's interesting. So today, oh man, this might be another tank change on Manhattan Reefs. I saw someone selling a dissolved oxygen module.
Was it expensive or not bad? Not bad.
It wasn't bad.
Yep.
Considering the new price, and so I sent him a message. So that's interesting. That's one. It would be interesting if I can get that and see if there's any correlation between ORP and dissolved oxygen, because that will be measuring dissolved oxygen directly.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. I think that probe, it's interesting. That probe is actually ridiculously expensive. It's like $700, but the head is swappable, is used up, and it's actually pretty cheap to sort of replace the head.
That helps. I didn't know that. Good to know.
The probe is $700, so the guy was selling it for less than half of that.
Yeah. Did you buy it?
I sent him a message. I haven't gotten back yet.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I obviously I lowball too. So if I get it at the lowball price, I'll jump on it.
Makes sense. I probably do the same. It's kind of, especially when you don't need it, you just kind of want it for fun. Just throwing this out there, guys. I just looked at the time, and I have to hit a store that closes in half an hour. So probably gonna give her about 5 more minutes and shut her down, so I can actually go pick up a few things.
Come on, don't lie.
That's cool. I'm cooking.
It's
related
true.
stuff.
Yes, it is actually.
All right, so then you have permission to go.
It is. It's a industrial paint and plastics.
Exactly.
They sell acrylics and stuff. So, and they close in half an hour. So I got to hit that before they close because I need some stuff for tomorrow. So does anyone in the chat just want to see if anyone has any other questions around the original topic of Chaeto reactors or refugiums, that type of stuff? Otherwise, we can give her about 5 more minutes and shut her down. And if you guys enjoy it, hit that like button, guys. Hit that thumbs up. I always appreciate it. Makes me happy.
Yeah, man, I got to say that this, I'm telling you, this is awesome. I love this. I love the fact that you just invite anybody to come in and we start talking about stuff, and it's nothing's better than the live. You get questions answered so much faster than you can when you're just trying to search, and everybody's experience is the important thing, without a doubt.
No, definitely. Well, thank you for coming on as well. And the thing for me too, I love hearing all the different views on things, right? Because I mean, there's 100 different ways to do something in this hobby. So just it works for me, it may not work for you, right? Or you may found a different way I've never thought of. So I love all the kind of collaboration or hearing all the different perspectives and everything.
Well, and it's funny too because we don't take into account our climate that we live. Like I'm in Calgary, you're in Kelowna. I'm 3,500 feet. You're you're about half that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it makes a difference with all your parameters, all your stuff, everything. Like, I mean, if you're baking something in the oven at a different altitude, it changes things. So imagine what's going on in your reef, right?
That's true.
How many reefs are 3,500 feet above sea level? Not too many.
Yeah, that's true. Even other stuff to consider. I mean, you're burning candles in your room. It's going to be letting off more CO2 and certain things. Like, there's so many little things that people don't consider that can affect your reef.
Yeah, I actually, a few years ago, so my apartment for years, I've had trouble with, just it being a little bit on the cooler side in the winter.
Yep.
I didn't mind. So a couple years ago, they came in and they completely replaced every window in my apartment, which created an airtight seal.
Your pH is like, whoop.
Precipitously. That's when I had to look at solutions to sort because all the time I was living here, 6 years, I never had pH issues. And as soon as they replaced the windows and everything was airtight, couldn't keep pH high. So that was also interesting. That was just one environmental factor that I never thought about before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just that makes a huge difference, right? Because if your house is well sealed up, you're not getting that little air creeping in.
Right. I'm just looking to see if there's
true.
anyone have questions. I answered Lewis's. Does your skimmer go nuts after water changes? Yeah. I've actually started running my skimmer. My soft corals are looking terrible. So I've actually started running my during daylight period when my corals are respirating and I won't see a pH drop. I actually stopped running my skimmer during the day. So that's So all my soft corals. I'm gonna see Dave in a few days, and I'm gonna give him some more of my soft corals, but they're not looking too good. I think the tank is probably running a little bit too clean. So I've reduced the photo period of the Refugium, the Pax Bellum. I'm starting to do more amino acids, more supplements, but yeah, that's just it's a shame because there's some cold corals and some Sinulera that I've had for a while. They're not looking good.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt, buddy, but Dev, I'm gonna head out too, buddy. I gotta go, and
Okay.
I'll get on here next time for sure. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.
Guys.
Thanks for hopping on.
Cheers. Yeah, you bet.
Cheers. Someone's asking, what about fireplaces? A wood fireplace, I'm going to assume that it would suck up more oxygen in the room and say yes, it would affect it. A gas one, at least the one that I have, I know there's two pipes and it's kind of self-vented. So I don't think it does a big difference, but I'll pay attention to my pH over the next few weeks and see if it does.
All right. I think this was a good stream, though.
I think so too. Bubba, no worries. 95% of people spell my name O-N or I-N, so it's all good. I'm used to it. But it's D-E-V-E-N, if anyone's curious.
So Dev, so you're gonna be next week. You're not here for the next 2 weeks.
I am here next week. I'm here, the 15th. Okay. The following 2, I will be MIA.
Okay.
Nice. Well, you have fun on the honeymoon, though.
I will. Thank you. Should be good. I'm gonna try and get a little bit of diving in. I'm gonna get some getting married in. A few different things.
No reef stuff. No fish stuff. The wife will not be happy.
I
already have my circle gear.
Twice now myself. It's fun.
Nice. I'm bringing my new camera to play with.
Nice.
If anyone saw it, I was kind of stoked last week, and I had a Nikon camera I had before, so I sold that, and I just picked up a Sony one off a classified site, so I've been pimping it out a bit. But yeah, I'm stoked for it, so I get some nice, hopefully higher quality video coming. I shot my Ecotech one with it, so I'm still learning how to use it, but get you guys some more crispy.
Yeah, I regret not bringing my camera with me to the aquatic experience in Chicago. I didn't bring it, and I forgot. I was so mad because there's so much going on there.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. I'm gonna do Macna next year. I'm definitely gonna bring it and shoot a bunch of video when I go do that one. So it should be exciting.
I ran into Aaron's aquarium. He had a little booth.
Nice.
It was pretty funny talking to him because I watched the day he landed. He was making video. He was like, "Look, squirrels!" And he's chasing squirrels around in this video. And I talked to him, and I guess the guys that were with him, they said that he was chasing a skunk the next night.
I saw some of his Instagram stuff. It's making me laugh.
He's hilarious.
Apparently, they don't have squirrels in the UK.
Oh, he is. He was great. It was funny. He was like, squirrels. I'm like, oh, dear God, I wish I had a camera to they record your reaction when I talk to him. I was like, look, squirrels. He's like, where?
I know. It's a whole new world on the other side of the pond. You never know.
Oh, no, I've been overseas, too, so it's a lot of stuff's different.
Oh, that's great. Should be fun.
It was funny talking.
Yep. I love it. So, yeah, I don't know. Should be good, guys. I'm excited. So, yeah, next week I'll be here a week. The following 2 weeks, I will likely not be here. Well, I won't be. So I am going to try and pre-make a couple of videos. So I'll hopefully still have the good old Monday videos. I'm not like completely gone in the wind. But there won't be any live streams for those 2 weeks, I think. Just take a break for a bit. But I am going to run because I do have to hit up that store before it closes. Because I got to go buy some bottles and acrylic and a few things. But I will see you guys later. Thank you, everyone that's joining. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you're new, make sure you guys subscribe. And otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. All right.
Yep. See you next week.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Night.